Hello, good morning. Welcome to our video tutorial. And for today's video, we are going to discuss something about quadratic inequalities. And here are our objectives for the lesson. So we have first is to illustrate quadratic inequalities or inequality, then solve quadratic inequality, and identify words or identifying the words involving quadratic inequalities for problem solving. Okay. So quadratic inequality is an equality that contains a polynomial of degree 2 and can be written in any of the following forms. Okay, class. Ang ating inequality, kung mapapansin ninyo at lagi ninyong tatandaan, ginagamit nitong symbol ay less than or greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. At itong apat na forms na ito, ang ating forms of quadratic inequality. So we have x squared plus bx plus c is greater than 0. We have ax squared plus bx plus c is less than 0. And ax squared plus bx plus c is greater than or equal to 0. Ax squared plus bx plus c is less than or equal to 0, where a, b, and c are all real numbers and a is not always equal to 0. So always remember, class, in quadratic inequalities, make use of inequality symbols such as less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So itong apat na symbols na to, kapag nakita ninyo, so it implies that the given is an inequality. Pero make sure, class, na ang kanyang highest exponent ay palaging 2. Okay, try nga natin. So let us identify in this given activity if the given activity or if the given is a quadratic inequalities or not. So the directions determine whether the mathematical sentence is a quadratic inequalities or not. So just simply say quadratic inequality or not. Okay. First, we have x squared plus 9x plus 14 is greater than 0. So as you can see in the given, this is an example of quadratic inequality. Bakit? Quadratic siya kasi may squared. The highest exponent of the variable is 2. And we use here greater than symbol. So it implies that the given is a quadratic inequality. Next, we have 3s squared minus 5s equals 1. So what do you think is the answer? So the answer is not. Why not? Not a quadratic inequality. But the given is an equation. Bakit equation? Kasi may equal sign. Bakit quadratic? Kasi the highest exponent is 2. Therefore, this is not a quadratic inequality because this is a quadratic equation. Next, number 3. 4t squared minus 7t plus 2 less than or equal to 0. Okay, this is an example of quadratic inequalities because of the symbol less than or equal to. Next, number 4. We have x squared is less than 10x minus 3. Okay, this is also a quadratic inequality. Then number 5, we have 12 minus 5x plus x squared is equal to 0. Okay, not a quadratic inequalities. Why? Because the given is a equation. Is an equation. Okay, next number 6. 3m plus 20 greater than or equal to 0. Quadratic inequality or not? Okay, so the given is not a quadratic inequality. Why? even if we use the less than or greater than symbol or the inequality symbol, class, this is not an example of quadratic inequality because the highest exponent of the variable is 1, not 2. So therefore, this is not considered as quadratic inequality because this is a linear inequality. Okay? Next, number 7. We have the quantity of 2r minus 5 times the quantity of r plus 4 is greater than 0. So, is this a quadratic inequality or not? Okay, yes, this is a quadratic inequality because the given, if we are going to simplify these factors, you will have 2r times r is 2r squared. So, dun palang kita na natin na merong square. The highest exponent of the variable x is 2. So, therefore, and we use greater than symbol. Kaya po, this is a quadratic inequality. Next, x squared minus 1 is less than x plus 1. Okay, this is an example of quadratic inequality. Number 9, we have the quantity of 4h squared minus 9 times the quantity of 2h plus 3 is greater than or equal to 0. This is not a quadratic inequality. Bakit po? Because if we simplify this, 4h squared times 2h is, we have 8h cubed. And cube is not a quadratic. So therefore, this is not a quadratic inequalities. Even we use the inequality symbol, but still, the highest exponent of the variable is not 2. Therefore, this is not a quadratic inequality. So, hindi siya quadratic inequality. Next, we have 15 minus 2x equals 3x squared. Okay, not quadratic inequality because this is a quadratic equation. Okay? So let us proceed to our next objective. This is how we solve quadratic inequality. There are steps in solving quadratic inequality. And here are the steps. Number 1 is to express the quadratic inequality as the quadratic equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then solve for the value of x. Paano yon? So, kung meron kang given inequality, ang gagawin mo daw is to express it into equation. So, anong gagawin mo? Yung inequality symbol, yung less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, ay papalitan mo ng equal sign. And then, solve for the value of x. Mamaya, bibigyan natin yan ng example. At habang naggagawa tayo ng example, ay i-identify natin itong step kung paano ba talaga, or gagamitin natin itong steps na to. So, what are the methods in solving quadratic equation? Siyempre, kung naka-quadratic equation na siya, madali siyang isolve ang value ng x or value ng variable. So, pwede ang factoring, pwede ang extracting the square root kung pwede, pwede din ang completing the square or quadratic formula. It's up to you kung ano ang gusto nyong gamitin para makapag-solve. Then, after that, ang sunod natin gagawin ay locate the numbers found in step 1 on the number line and they serve as the boundary points. And the number line will be divided into regions. Okay. So, after ninyong makuha yung value ng x or value ng any variable na ginamit natin, ilulocate natin daw yan sa ating number line or just plot the points on the number line. Mamaya, magkakaroon tayo ng sample on how to plot the points on the number line. Then, magkakaroon siya ng boundaries. Pwedeng nasa right side, nasa left side, at yung middle ng two numbers na makukuha natin. Okay, next. choose one number from each region as a test point, then substitute it to the original inequality. Substitute the test point to the original inequality. So, yun ang gagawin ninyo. Pipili kayo ng number dun sa portion. Yung nasa right, nasa left, at nasa middle nung dalawang point. Then, we have, if the inequality holds true to the test point, then the region belongs to the solution set. Otherwise, it is not part of the solution set of the inequality. Anong ibig sabihin nun? So, kung nakapili na tayo doon sa portion ng left, right, at middle, nung point na yon, points, i-substitute natin siya sa given inequality. At kapag siya ay nag-true, therefore, the region or the solution set of the given inequality. At kapag false naman, edi syempre, hindi siya solution set ng given inequality natin. Then, write the solution set as interval notation or just write the values of the variable. Okay, or the inequality. So, yan ang steps natin in solving quadratic equation. Okay, next. Example number 1. Dito na tayo sa example. At gagamitin natin yung step na binasa natin kanina. So, solve the inequality x squared plus 3x minus 4 greater than 0. So, ang first step natin is to express the inequality as equation, quadratic equation in standard form. Then solve for the roots of the equation. So, in this case, yan, anong nangyari doon sa ating x squared plus 3x minus 4 greater than 0? So, ang unang step, paltan itong greater than symbol ng equal sign. Pagkatapos palitan, di may equation na tayo. Solve for the equation. Solve for the value of the variable. So, in this case, we use factoring. Madali kasi ang factoring, pero kung gusto mong quadratic formula, it's up to you. Completing the square, it's up to you kung alin ang gusto mong gamitin, basta makuha mo ang value ng variable. So, dito ang ginamit natin ay factoring. Hanap si factor ng negative 4. At yun ay 4 and negative 1. Kasi pagka sinubtract natin yung 4 minus 1, ang sagot ay 3. Kaya possible at pwede. So, pagkatapos niyan, solve natin ang value ng x by equating each factor to 0. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? Magiging x plus 4 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. So, kapag ganon, transpose lang natin yan sa kabila. So, magiging x is equal to negative 4 at dito naman transpose yung negative 1 sa kabila, magiging x is equal to positive 1. Next, place the roots as boundaries by drawing circles on the line graph. The boundaries depend on the inequality symbol used. So, ano ba yun? Paano yung ginagawa? So, sabi nga, place the root as the boundaries by drawing circle on the line graph. Ito yung number line natin. Ilalagay ko si negative 4 at saka si 1. Ma'am, bakit po ang ginamit ninyo ay circle? Kasi circle indicates that the number is not the value of the inequality. Yon, tatandaan. Kapag ka-circle, walang shade, tatandaan nyo yun ha. Ginagamit yon kapag ang ating ginamit na inequality ay greater than or less than. Kasi ibig sabihin nun, hindi kasali ito. Hindi ito kasali. Tingnan ninyo. So, note that when substituting the value of x, yung x is equal to negative 4 and x is equal to 1, in the inequality, the mathematical statements are false. Why? I-substitute natin sa given inequality, yung x squared plus 3x minus 4 is greater than 0. Ang lalabas class is 0 is greater than 0. Is that correct? So, ito ay false. At kapag naman ang x natin ay 1, ganun din, 0 is greater than 0. At false iyon. Kapag false, ibig sabihin, hindi kasali. It means that the roots are not the solutions to the inequality. Ito na yon. Kaya ang gagamitin natin ay circle, hindi shaded. Mamaya, ituturo ko kung paano naman kapag shaded. Yung sinasabi ni Ma'am na shaded ang circle. Okay. So, yan ang gagawin. Step number 2 ay plot the points on the number line. O, ito na yon, pinlat na natin. At laging tatandaan na kapag siya ay greater than or less than, ang magiging shade natin or ang magiging plot natin ay circle only. Okay, step number 3. Take test points in each region on the number line, separated by the boundaries. So, ang boundaries natin dito ay yung -4 at saka 1. So, the test points used are preferably the closest integers to the boundaries and 0. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, ito yung boundaries natin, -4 at saka 1. Pipili daw tayo sa left side, sa middle, at sa right side ng ating number line. So, ang pinili niya ay yung malapit kasi sabi daw ay ang piliin ay yung closest integer. Ay di syempre, sa left side, pwede natin gamitin si -5 at sa gitna ay pinakamadaling gamitin ay 0 kasi madali siyang isolve kapag 0 ang value ng x. At ang sunod sa 1 ay d2. Kaya ang ginamit dito ay 2. So, in this example, we can use -5, 0, and 2. Substitute these values to the inequality and determine if the points are included in the solution set. So, dito na yung lalabas kung true or false. So, as you can see in the given, nung isinubstitute si -5, anong lumabas? So, we have 6 is greater than 0. So, ibig sabihin, since 6 is greater than 0 and this is true, x is equal to -5 is a solution. So, ibig sabihin, from the number less than -4, ibig sabihin, itong part na to, hindi kasama si -4, ito po ay solution set ng ating given inequality. So, ibig sabihin, yung 4.5, -4.5, -4.1, lahat yon ay value ng inequality hanggang sa pinakamaliit na value sa -4. Okay. Next, if the value of x is 0, let us try. Tingnan natin kung itong gitnang portion ay value ng ating inequality. So, we have 0 squared plus 3 times 0 minus 4 is greater than 0. So, -4 daw is greater than 0. True or false? False, kasi mas malaki si 0 kaysa sa negative. So, therefore, class, since -4 is not greater than 0, therefore, 0 is not a solution set. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng nasa gitna from yun, kasama si -4, itong -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1 are not the possible values or not the values of the inequality. And if the value of x naman ay 2, so isubstitute natin. So we have 2 squared plus 3 times 2 minus 4 greater than 0. Ang lalabas class ay 6 is greater than 0. And that is correct. That is true. So since this is true, x is equal to 2 is a solution set. So, itong table na nasa baba class, ito yung magagamit natin para i-shade yung portion na possible values of the given inequality. Okay, try natin. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Ito yung table dun sa ating testing points. At sabi, itong part na to, yan. If the test point is a solution, shade the region in it is located. It means that all numbers in the interval are part of the solution set. Ayun. So, kapag ito ay may shade, understood na natin na ang values ng ating inequalities ay simula din hanggang doon sa kaduluduluhan. Yung arrowhead class, it means that it can be extend kahit hanggang saan. Yun ay value ng ating inequality. Okay. And then, dito naman sa kabila, ganun din. Bakit itong gitna walang shade? Kasi hindi siya part of the solution. Okay po. So, that is step number 4. Using this true or false test, di saka natin siya lagyan ng shade doon sa nag-true at yung false, di hindi natin lalagyan ng shade. Okay? And then, number 5, write the solution in the inequality using the interval notation. So, the solution of the inequalities or inequality x squared plus 3x minus 4 greater than 0 are all real numbers x, where x is less than negative 4 and x is greater than 1. So, these numbers are the intervals. So, negative infinity, negative 4, infinity, negative 4 up to negative infinity. Hindi kasali yung negative 4. And positive 1 to positive infinity. Ibig sabihin hanggang doon sa kaduluduluhan. Lahat ng positive number that is greater than 1 and lahat ng negative numbers that is less than negative 4. Okay po? Okay, next example is solve the inequality x squared plus 6x less than or equal to 0. So, tingnan natin class kung same pa din ang gagamitin nating pag-shade sa ating number line. Kung siya ay gagamit pa rin ng circle or shaded circle na. So, mamaya tingnan nyo. Okay, step number 1, express as the equation or quadratic equation, inequality to quadratic equation and find the roots. So, ito, ano nangyari sa less than or equal to? Naging equal. So, after that, i-factor na siya or using the 4 methods, pipili kayo doon. It's up to you kung anong gusto nyong gamitin. So, dito ang ginamit ay common monomial factor. And the common among these two binomial ay x. So, x times the quantity of x plus 6 equals 0. Then, equate each factor by 0. So, magiging x is equal to 0 and x plus 6 equals 0. Therefore, we have x is equal to negative 6. Then, draw a line graph with the respective boundaries since the symbol used is, ayan, less than or equal to, we draw closed circle or shaded circles. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko. Isinulat natin yung values. We have negative 6 and 0. Ang gagamitin natin, class, ay hindi na circle, kundi shaded circles na. Kasi, included si negative 6 at si 0 as the value of x. Kasi ang ating ginamit dito or ang ating inequality symbol ay less than or equal to. Nandun yung word na equal to. So, ibig sabihin, kasama si negative 6 at si 0 as value of x. Okay, so step number 3, take test points. So, in this case, class, di ba, naisulat na natin or na-plot na natin. Pipili daw tayo ng number sa left, sa right. Ito yung left, ito yung right, at saka yung middle. So, ang pinakamadaling gamitin, syempre, yung pinakamaliit na possible sa left ay D7, negative 7. And pinakamaliit na value na pwede natin gamitin sa middle ay negative 1. And sa right side naman ay 1. So yan, nakapili na tayo. And let us check if this is true or false. So in this case, we have negative 7 squared plus 6 times negative 7 is less than or equal to 0. So 49 minus 42 is less than or equal to 0. Is this true that 7 is less than or equal to 0? So since this is not true or false, ibig sabihin nun class, x is equal to 7 is not a solution. So, ibig sabihin, itong portion na ito ay hindi value ng ating inequality. And then, itong ating negative 1, pala muna, negative 1. So, let us try. Negative 1 squared plus 6 times negative 1 is less than or equal to 0. So, negative 5 is less than or equal to 0. So, since this is true, kasi mas malaki yung 0 kaysa sa negative 5, therefore, itong portion na ito, itong gitna, in between, kasama si negative 6 at saka si 0, ay values ng ating quadratic inequality. And then, if the given is 1, so 1 squared plus 6 times 1, less than or equal to 0, so we have 1. Bakit naging plus? Yan. Tama. Plus 6. Ay parang mali ito. Dapat 7. So, 7 is less than or equal to 0. So, yan. Ito. 7 is less than or equal to 0 is x is equal to 1 is not a solution. So, palitan natin yun. Gawin natin yung 7. Okay? Okay. So, step number 4, identify the region on the number line where the solution is located. So, since itong part na to is not the solution, edi hindi natin siya shadean. Itong part na to, yung negative 1, yung nasa gitna ay solution, yun lang ang ating isa-shade. Papakapalan lang natin. Kasi it means class that the values are here. Then, itong yan, pinaltan ko na, ginawa ko ng 7 is not equal to 0, is not less than or equal to 0, is not the solution, kaya siya ay walang shade. Opo. And then, what are the values of x? So, dito class, kaya na nating identify. Ano kaya ang mga values ng x natin? Siyempre, we have negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. And negative 1, negative 1.5, 1.3, ayan, negative 1.3. So, lahat ng numbers, kasama din si 0. Kasama si 0 at si negative 6. Okay, and final, we have, write the final answer in an interval notation. So, the solution set to the given inequality x squared plus 6x less than or equal to 0 is negative 6 and 0. Or the values of x is greater than or equal to negative 6 and less than or equal to 0. Okay? Okay, let us try the first activity. Ito yung activity na nasa inyong module. At yung number 1 lang ang ating sagutan. Try natin. Show the step-by-step procedure. So, ito po. So, we have x squared plus 6x plus 9 is greater than 0. So, ang first step natin, gawin siyang equation. At ito yung ating sagot. We have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. Then, using factoring, solve for the value of x. So, we have x plus 3 times x plus 3 equals 0. So, equate each factors into 0. So, magiging x plus 3 equals 0. So, x is equal to negative 3. And x plus 3 equals 0. X is equal to negative 3. So, as you can see, parehas po ang kanyang value. Dalawa ang value pero the same. Bakit kaya? Kasi class, ang given natin is a perfect square trinomial. And if we have the perfect square trinomial, always remember class na ang ating value ay isa lang number. Parehas, pero isa lang. Okay, so i-plot natin. Number 2, plot the points on the number line. So ito, bakit po ang ginamit ay circle, hindi po shaded? Kasi ang ating given is greater than. So after that, choose the testing point. So ang gagamitin natin, pinakamadali ay negative 4 and 0. Yan, ito yung testing point natin. Then after that, test the points. So if the value of x is negative 4 and if the value of x is 0, let us see. So if the value of x is negative 4, ang lalabas class ay 1 is greater than 0, which is true. And then, x is equal to 0. So we have 9 is greater than 0 and it is also true. So therefore, what is our anong sunod na step? Shade the portion or region that is included as the solution. So, dun sa true natin, yun ang ating shadan. And this part is the shaded part. Ginamit ko yung yellow. And then, itong part na to ay solution set din. And then, the final number 5 or letter E, the solution set are all real numbers except negative 3. Bakit hindi kasama si negative 3? Kasi yung nasa gitnang negative 3 is not equal to the solution set. Okay? So that's all on how to solve quadratic equation step by step. Then, ito naman yung ating number 3 objective. Identifying the words, important words, and sample sentence, and the inequality symbol and the translation. So, laging tatandaan, ito yung first important word. So, is at least. So, gamitin natin siya sa sample sentence. Bill is at least 21 years old. What is the at least word in symbol? So, inequality symbol niya ay greater than or equal to. So, therefore, if we are going to translate, let us be the Bill's age. So, B is greater than or equal to 21. Then, we have number 2, we have is at most. So, sa sentence natin, at most 5 students drop the course. So, inequality symbol, we have less than or equal to. Then, we have x is less than 5. Then, another word, cannot exceed. So, the earnings cannot exceed $1,200. So, the symbol for cannot exceed is less than or equal to. So, R is less than or equal to 1,200. Then, exceeds, ang sample sentence natin, the speed exceeds 15 meter per hour. So, yung exceeds na word, ang kanyang symbol class ay greater than. So, S is greater than 15 sa translation. Then, is less than, madali lang tong hanapin or intindihin kasi yung word na less than. So, Spot's weight is less than 50 pounds. So, W is less than 50. Is more than or greater than. Boston is more than 200 miles away. So, the inequality symbol for more than is greater than. So, D is greater than 200. Okay. Then, word problems, translation table. So, lagi niyong tatandaan, yung English English word ay pwede din gamitin sa mathematics para makabuo tayo ng equation. So, equals, is, was, will be, has, costs, weighs, is the same as, lahat ng words na ito, ang symbol niya sa math ay equal sign. Yung times of, multiplied by, product of, twice, double, siya naman ay multiplication or times. Then, divided by, per, each, out of, and ratio implies division. Then, plus, more than, added to, and some, and some, combined, ay addition naman siya. Minus, less than, fewer, difference between, decreased by, subtracted from, yun naman plus ay ating minus side. Then, ito na yung inequality. Greater than, more than, as much as old as, at least, no less than, yun naman ay greater than or equal to. Kapag naman less than, fewer than, as low as, no more than, yun naman ay greater than or equal to. O, ito naman, feeling ko malilito ang iba dito. A number, how much, how many, and what. Bakit pang x, n, and etc.? Kasi class, ito yung ginagamit natin sa problem solving na ito yung hinahanap, ito yung laging nawawala. So, sample, a number is equal to twice the product of, or a number is more than 5. Ano kayang translation nun? More than 5. Edi x. More than, edi greater than 5. How much? How many? What? So, ito yung ginagamitan natin ng variable. Itinatranslate natin to as variable x, n, and any other variable can be used. Okay po? And thank you for watching and listening to our video tutorial. For your comments, please write down below. At sana nag-enjoy kayo. At kung hindi ka pa nakasubscribe, pwede mag-subscribe ka na para ikaw ay updated kapag mag-upload ako ng bagong video tutorial. Okay, thank you and happy learning!